All right, Shalom, Shalom. First things first, I want to give honor and praise unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakurash. We say Barakat Yahweh, Barak Yahushai, Barakat Yahweh, Barak Yahushai, Barakat Yahweh, Barak Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakurash. And we give double honors to our apostles and our elders, which are the apostle elders, a great millstone, which feed us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding through the spirit and power of Yahweh Yahushai, 2025, which is the hopeful year of our deliverance and the judgment and the destruction of Esau. Let's jump right into this lesson. The title of this lesson is The Fire of Rome is Burning Again and Stronger. The fire of Rome is burning again and stronger. And that's attached to this video currently on. This is with Scott Ritter, because Scott Ritter was one of those ones that was rooting for Trump. He was rooting for Nero. All right. He was, I remember watching the videos. He was an advocate during the so-called elections. And, you know, when he got in there, but that's where you get the buyer's remorse, because you have to, if you're a critical thinker, that's why even starting with apostles and elders called the men over certain camps zombies, because they're not critical thinkers. You have to have a critical thinking mind when it comes to these times. Hey, that's a sit down. You must have a critical thinking mind when it comes to these times, because that's why it says, if it be possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So that scripture right there should show you that there's going to be things going on before the coming of Yahushai that are going to be able to, that are going to catch certain people unawares. That's why the Apocrypha says, feed them with things belonging unto idols. Okay. So a lot of people are going to get caught up in the time, especially of the MOTB, because they're not going to be aware. That's why they're not going to have the knowledge, wisdom to make it through those times. This is knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy time. But with this video currently with Scott Ritter is that he's been analyzing the moves of Nero, and he's come up with a conclusion that the guy is a narcissist, that he's not equipped for the battle to come, and he's not standing on the business that he came into, that he ran on. All right, all the things that he promised were not being backed up, and that's what Scott Ritter, this guy, was banking on. He was banking that he was going to come in there and go with the promises that he was saying, because it even got him. It convinced him, because he's an ex UAE he's a nuclear watchdog. He used to work for the Nuclear Research Agency. So he had to go and assess certain countries' nuclear programs. So he's well aware of the situation when it comes to the nuclear weapon talk. All right, so he's also a battlefield person. He knows a lot of weapons. He knows a lot of movements and strategies. So he's seeing that, so he's a strategist, okay, an ex-strategist, and he's seeing that the guy is not making moves that are banking. He even says in his video, he says he hates to be critical of his country, but he has to call a spade a spade. All right, that's what is difference between these guys that are coming in it with willy-nilly, and that's why it says you must be convinced in your own mind. You must have a extensive, and you must believe this truth without having no what ifs, no if, ands, or buts. So I'm gonna go ahead and play. This is fair use, fair use. This is for educational purposes only. All right, this is not for any monetary gain, but just listen to what he says, because when I watched this video, he broke it down, and this is a 44-minute video, and he goes in. And he's disrespecting Nero big time. I mean, the guy, he was speaking reckless. If Nero ever seen this video, he's going to be pissed. He might have something out for this guy, because he's calling it how it is, and he's putting it all on the table. So he says that the relevance of Babylon, America, is faded out. And that reminded me of the fires of Rome. Okay, so let's go ahead and play this.
I mean, we really have just taken ourselves out of the running when it comes to the major issues of the day. Saudi Arabia is hosting the American president, I believe, not because the president is there to save Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia is saying we have to do something to prop this guy up, because he's collapsing, and we don't want to live in a world where we have a geopolitical vacuum created by the rapid withdrawal of the United States as a relevant player on the global stage, which is what Trump is doing. Trump is forcing the issues, and these retreats that he's doing makes America irrelevant. We could have been the most relevant player in the Ukrainian-Russia deal. We could have made ourselves absolutely essential to that. What's going to happen instead is that we are going to withdraw, and Russia is going to be the only voice heard on this issue, which creates a vacuum in Europe. The deficit of American leadership requires Europe to come up with its own solution without America.
Because what's happening now is just like when Israel, the nation of Israel, going back to the time of Solomon, was in great standings with the nations around. That's why the scripture says this is the day that we looked for. All right. So they looked for the time, a chink in our armor, even going back to the book of Esther, where you see that it was said that if the power be with them, nobody can take them over. Okay. So if when the Lord had propped America up, they couldn't lose. Every move was a win in the eyes of prophecy. But now the Lord is taking away that favor, and because he's returning unto his people, and he's giving that energy, and he's giving that blessings, and he's giving that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to his people, starting with the elect and the 144,000 and the 1/3. Those are going to be the ones that are going to receive the eye salve and receive the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to be prepared for salvation. But now you see Babylon, is every move it's make, it seems like it's getting worse, worse, and worse, because the Lord in the book of Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter, it says that he's going to put the curses on the enemies. So one of those curses is that nothing ain't going to go right. That's pretty much the curses in a nutshell. Nothing goes right. Anything that you pursue, anything that you touch is pretty much going to disintegrate. Family life, your riches, your wealth, your land, yourself, your own body, it's going to start deteriorating. So America's deteriorating right now. It's that whores, just like when you see a woman in the morning with no makeup. She looks good, she smells right, but then you take her home and she takes all that stuff off. That's the same thing when you take off all the glitz and the glam of Babylon. What do you have left? You have a warmongering, you have a the democracy that pushes certain things that other nations have reneged on and they don't want in their countries. Same thing with the alphabet thing, with the abortions, all these things that the world, because the world has a moral code, a moral law. A lot of these nations are ancient nations. They go back to the table of nations. All right, Moabites, Ammonites, all right, the Persians, the Iranians. All these nations are going back. They have a ancient way of going about things. Okay, Babylon is a newer thing. Even going back to Rome, Rome was a newer beast. That's why it says the diverse from all the rest, because they didn't have emperors or rulers. They had the democracy, which you have today, and that's where you have room for corruption. There was corruption in Rome. All right, there was massive corruption. If you watch the movie Gladiator, you'll see more into that. The main point is that this place is being disintegrated on the worldwide level, as in the perception. That's where he says that the U.S. is not a player like it used to be.
We could be that if we were more assertive with Israel, we could be the defining voice. But by backing out, letting Netanyahu do things, he fills that vacuum. We become irrelevant.
And then now another part of this lesson is that the shameful spewing is being put on these Israelis. Okay, and how is the proof of that? Because all of these people, its allies, right here, it says that world criticizes Israel over Gaza. It says, and airstrikes killed dozens of Gaza. International criticism is for of Israel grows. And this was 2 days ago. So, and where, like the elder said, Elder Yashawamba, he said that these other Christians, these other people, they're not even speaking about it. They're ignoring it. They're not pointing the light on it. But when it comes to us, the Israelites, which we don't kill anybody, we're not dropping bombs on nobody. We're not supposedly interning camp people. We don't have no resources to do those things. All we're doing is reading the scriptures, and we're using the Bible to say this is what's going to happen. But you have these people over here that are actually killing people and using the scriptures to back it up and to make it, to legitimize their actions. And the world is pretty much at ends with it. So that's the difference between us and them. We're telling you what the Bible is going to say. They're trying to make the Bible say what it says for them, for their sake, because they're on point. What they're doing is supposedly with cleansing out the land, because going back to the time of Joshua, time of Moses, and going into the promised land, Moses got to see it, But when we went into the land of the Canaanites, the Lord told us it was a hostile takeover. Don't go in there and put them to flight and take the land, going back to the curse of Shem, going back to the curses of Ham, all right? But he actually cursed his son Canaan. So now that prophecy was taking place back then. Now modern day, they're trying to fulfill prophecy in a pseudo corrupt manner. Okay, and it says Israel's forces killed at least 55 Palestinians in airstrikes in Gaza on Tuesday. Local medic said, continuing to bombard the enclave despite mounting international pressure to halt military operations and allow unimpeded deliveries of aid. And that's what you see. They said they haven't let aid in there. I think it's like 14,000 children were predicted to die from malnutrition and starvation in days. So the world is waking up, but they're not going to be able to do much because Babylon is the backing. But now Babylon is losing its pomp. They're going down simultaneously on the worldwide scale, on worldwide level. And it says Israeli politician critiques the Gaza war's toll on Palestinians and sparks an outcry. This was 6 hours ago. It says Tel Aviv, Israel, killing babies as a hobby, expelling a population, fighting against civilians. It is some of the harshest language against Israel wartime conduct in Gaza. And it came this week from approximately Israeli political sparking a domestic uproar as the countries face heavy international criticism. See, it is not uncommon for politicians, Salakia, to criticize Prime Minister Netanyahu war strategy, especially his failure to free all the hostages held by Hamas. What made the comment by center-left opposition party leader, Golan rare and drawing the official across the political spectrum was their focus on plight of the Palestinians. So international condemnation is growing, okay? You can see article after article. A day ago, the mood is changing. Israeli anger grows as conduct of war. Israeli allies unleash strong rhetoric over Gaza, but actions so far are limited. Column, an Israeli stars and destroys Gaza. It's turning into a global pariah. Okay, and that's like a disease, like a parasite. Okay, 2 days ago, Israeli latest military offensive kills 85 in Gaza despite mounting international criticism. So what should come to your mind is right here. This is the book of Habakkuk 2 and verse 16. Let's read it. Amplified. It says, you will be filled with disgrace instead of honor. And that's simultaneously happening with Babylon and Israeli forces. But they're one and the same because they're proxy. All right, the land of Palestine, okay, the Israeli setup, conclave, is a extension, it's a proxy, just like Ukraine is a proxy of Babylon and NATO. And Russia knows this. They've stated it. They said if it wasn't for you, we would have been took it over. We would have been one. You're the only reason that they're relevant still. All right, they don't even recognize the leader in that country because they stopped the democratic elections, all right, under the merit of martial law. So you can't have those elections. And it says you will be filled with disgrace instead of honor. Now drink and expose your own nakedness. And that's what it's doing now. All you see is prophecy happening on the four corners of the planet Earth when it comes to Babylon making moves that will, that's why I said earlier, every move they make is going to be a detriment to their actual rulership. No move that they can make now until the end is going to benefit them, because it's just like a chess match that's already been won by the opposite player. Every move is just you going to the victory of the other player, and the victory is Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. That's who's moving the pieces. That's why the Lord said that Exodus 15, the Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. All right, and it also says that he mustereth the host of the battle. So the Lord, and it's also the Lord's name is also the Lord of Sabaoth, which is the Lord of the armies. Okay, So he's moving these pieces, going back to Daniel, going back to the Nebuchadnezzar, going back to the statue that was seen. Those were succession of nations that were going to come in and come out, come in and come out. This nation is going to take this nation. This nation is going to take this nation. So the Lord moves these nations as his pawns and pieces in the story. So what makes it, there's no different. Why would the Lord change? He says he's not a man that he should change or lie. So he's not going to have to change his playbook. If your playbook is perfect and you skunk in every team, why would you change your playbook if you ain't lost yet? The Most High has 0 losses, man. Perfect. What does it say? Flawless victory. Every move, even what does it say? Even the foolishness of the Most High is wiser than men. So they don't know what the moves. Every move that is being made now is for the downfall of Babylon the Great as we proceed towards the end. Okay, it says, now drink and expose your own nakedness. See, the cup of wrath in the Lord's hand, it will come around to you, O destroyer. What should come to your mind? Jeremiah 50, where it says, how is the hammer of the earth cut asunder? Jeremiah 50 or 51, Salakia. It says, how is the hammer of the earth cut asunder? So that's how you can tie in, because I said that Israel, the small hats, they're proxy to the United States. So they're one and the same. And what are they doing now? They're destroying those people. It's an ethnic cleansing that's happening right now. Okay, and it says, in utter disgrace will be on your own glory. NLT, be soon. It says, but soon it will be your turn to be disgraced. Come, drink and be exposed. Drink from the cup of the Lord's judgment, and all your glory will be turned to shame. And that's what you see happening right here with all of these articles. Okay, we go on and on. It says UK, France, Canada threaten actions against Israel over Gaza. That's the shame right there. It's a shameful thing what they're doing. All right, that's what the world is saying. But when we're just bringing out prophecy, because these things were set to happen. What does it say in Zechariah? It says, a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. And if you know what Ashdod is, it's a port city in the land of Israel. Okay, and it's still there today. Just look it up. And it says, let's go down here. Let's get a couple of these precepts, and then we'll go back into that. And these are the prophecies that we're telling Jake, man. This is Jeremiah 49 verse 12. For this is what the Lord says. If those who do not deserve to drink the cup must drink it, can you possibly remain unpunished? You will not go unpunished. You must drink it too. See? So they're getting ready that this is a part of those curses. Because when we started going down, it was a succession of things that happened in the time of Solomon to Jeroboam and Rehoboam. All these things were the splitting of the nation that made us weaker as a military might. Okay, and then you had the political skirmishes. So all these things is the same predated curses that we went through. Now is coming on Esau. This is Isaiah 47:3. Your nakedness will be uncovered and your shame will be exposed. I will take vengeance. I will not spare no one. So all those people that are talking about the MOTB not being what it is, there's no middle ground in this. You either make it or you don't. If you are on the landmass of America, you're either saved or you're not. And there's a criteria for salvation. There's a criteria for salvation because you have to fight and you have to stand through the fire of adversity when it comes to the MOTB. It's a trying thing. Sin has been around since the Garden of Eden. We fell back then. So sin has been an ongoing thing. So the so-called mark cannot be sin. It's already been here. And it's the mark of the beast. So you have to know that it is who the beast is. And then once you establish the beast, what is the beast's agenda when it comes to pushing a worldwide object or thing? Okay, where you go into this digital currency, you go into this new payment structure, because the world is now intertwined by what does it say? You got the Moody's, you got different things that are international ratings, all these things that are international trade. When you go to China, Russia, all these things are intertwined. So that's how the world will be. That's why the world will have to face the time of that mark, because it's going to be an international process. Because the dollar is a global reserve currency. So what is the mark? Is going to be a global mark. It's not going to be just concentrated to a certain area. All right. And this is Nahum 3:5-6. Behold, I am against you, declares the Lord. of hosts, I will lift your skirt over your face, and I will, and then so the Lord is doing this. He has those Palestinians. Imagine if the Palestinians weren't there. How would he be able to turn the world against these people if there was no people there for them to try to cleanse out because they think that they're the people of God? They think they're fulfilling prophecy because they think that they are the chosen. So they're doing all these things, not knowing that, hey, you falling into a trap. Because the world would have looked at you like, all right, they're just another nation. Now they're seeing the wickedness that is capable. Just like you see a dog, you see it, it's all right, but then you get close to it, it's growling, it's snapping at you. You know it's violent, it's prone to violence. So now the world is seeing that, damn, these people are the violent ones. See, it says, oh, behold, I am against you, declares the Lord of hosts. I will lift your skirt over your face, and I will show your nakedness to the nations, your shame to the kingdoms, and I will pelt you with filth and threaten you with contempt, and I will make a spectacle of you. And you see it. What do you think with Nero? That's a spectacle. He's all the pompous thing, the pomp that he had, all that going away. The world is like, man, forgive, what the hell? This guy ain't making moves. You got J.D. Vance cursing out European Union. And those people over there, they don't forget. They got a long-ass memory, man. All right, that going back into those, that royal British man, you got Edomites used to shoot each other in the face over disrespect. You think that is fallen to the wayside? It has not. All you see happening right now is a culmination of Esau tasting the curses of Yahbashim Yahushua, man. All right, it says that's it on that. Let's go back to the video.
I'm afraid that's what we're doing. So the Saudis, being the very pragmatic people they are, I mean, what was the first deal they came up with? Giving Trump a victory. We're sending $600 billion. We're going to invest $600 billion in America. Now Trump gets to go, I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. I got $600 billion in from the Saudis. I'm awesome. I'm the man child. America loves me. And then what else that comes out of this? Nothing. He's not going to get what he wants on global oil prices. He's not going to get the Saudis to divorce their relationship with Iran. He's not going to get the Saudis to back off their relationship with China. He's not going to get the Saudis to back off of anything. The Saudis are there to make the president look good and give him, something to help prop him up because they don't want a geopolitical vacuum. America under Donald Trump is becoming irrelevant. And that's not a good thing for the world. And again, I think, to be frank, I think the Iranians recognize this, which is why the Iranians are bending.
See, now what came to my mind was this. It says, I typed in, what does it mean symbolically? What does it mean symbolically to burn down? Okay. It says symbolically burning something down means to figuratively destroy or end something completely, often a relationship, a phase of life, or way of thinking. It can represent a complete or irreversible change. See? It can represent a complete and irreversible change, a fresh start, or a release of something that no longer serves you. And that's what you see. The change that is happening now is irreversible. Babylon can never regain that seat that it had because once the respect is gone, once the morality is gone, once the trust is gone, because that's why the dollar was a dominant thing, because the trust was there among the nations. Everybody was eating, if you want to say that. Now it seems like nobody's benefiting from having the dollar as their currency, and especially now with trade and seeing that it can be weaponized. Before, they just knew it was money, but it was weaponized on the low by sanctions. Like if you got a sanction, that you was all bad. That shit was terrible. If you got even if they spoke a sanction, now it's like, man, fuck them sanctions. They don't give a damn about no sanctions. Nobody cares. So the power's there. Just like if somebody used to be a fighter or you a bully and then you get slapped by the small guy, everybody ain't respecting you like they used to. That because they like you ain't that guy. That fear factor, because they're like, if this little guy can slap you, I ain't that little. I'm pretty big myself. So you got those, that's why it says, let the weak say that I'm strong. All right, because everybody possesses certain of these countries, major players, possess nuclear weapons also. That's why you see the India-Pakistan confrontation. They said that could lead to a nuclear exchange, but that's not a part of that prophecy. The Lord is going to put main characters into this prophecy when it comes to the nuclear war. All right, and let's go here. This is the book of Psalms 57 and verse 6, because this is what's happening currently. This is Psalms 57 and verse 6. It says, NLT, my enemies have set a trap for me. I am weary from distress. They have dug a deep pit in my path, but they themselves have fallen into interlude. Okay, amplified. They set a net for my steps. My very life was bowed down. They dug a pit before me into the midst of if they themselves have fallen. Salah. So the trap is set. All these things that are moving, these are traps. These are spiritual traps that are set by the ultimate hunter. Because who's a hunter? The Most High is the hunter. He's the chief hunter. He invented hunting. Hunting came out of him. So who you think knows what a trap is? The Lord knows a trap. What did the Lord say? He has his armory. The Most High has traps, weapons, all types of things. These are the things that are in the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, like the missiles. The missiles were given to Esau. Technology is comes from Yahweh Shem Yahushai. It doesn't come out of nowhere. It says, how can a man know his own ways? All right, this is Psalms 9 and verse 5, 15 to 16. The nations have fallen into a pit of their making. Their feet are caught in the net of that they have hidden, and it's all backfiring on everybody, because the game only works, the gambit only works when everybody's into it. Now, if it's not, that it's fragmented. So now they have to make up a new gambit. They have to make up the new gimmick. And that's why the BRICS are being set up and all those, and they're stepping away from the dollar. It's still going to be corrupt, because corruption's in these people. New money and new so-called reserve currency, that's going to be corrupt too, okay? Because it's not ruled in righteousness. It says just balances and weights is the pleasure of the Lord. And they're not doing it. The dollar's been out of whack for a long time because it hasn't been gold back. So it's left room for unbalanced, no checks and balances. Okay, it says, caught in the net they have hidden. The Lord is known by the justice he brings. The wicked is ensnared by the works of their hands. Hegion Salah. All right. It says, Proverbs 26 and verse 27, he who digs a pit will fall into it, and he who rolls a stone will have it rolled back on him. Ecclesiastes 10 and 8, he who digs a pit may fall into it, and he who breaches a wall may be bitten by a snake. See? So everything is coming back and biting them. That's why Obadiah says, they that eat that bread have laid a wound under thee. Okay? So these things are taking place for the detriment and the building up of the kingdom of heaven, because Yahweh Shem Yahushua is visiting the earth. And he's starting by just putting shame and spewing. And that's why we read the precepts. So you can know it's not something that the Lord is not doing. He's doing it. All right, he's making it happen by way of these moves that are being made. These are chess moves of a one game. Okay, every move you see is for the victory of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. All right. So with that, I want to say call halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakorash. Until the next time, I say shalom, and more not than ever, keep faith. And if you want to finish the video, here's War Strategy Hub. I watch it a lot. Scott Ritter be having some input. You know, I try to at least catch it every week, every other day. That way we can see what's actually going on in the eyes of somebody that's experienced in it. All right, so with that, I say call halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakorash. Until next time, I say shalom, and more now than ever, keep faith. Shalom.